Let's kick things off with number one, the idiot hero. This character trope is literally everywhere in anime, and might be the most recognizable trope of all time. But what makes the idiot hero so fascinating is they're often put in leadership positions, despite not having the brains to lead a cat out of a paper bag. And the craziest part is, this actually works because their pure stupidity makes them incorruptible. Just look at Gohan from Hunter x Hunter, who probably should have died 100 times over by now, but somehow he keeps surviving by coming up with the most insane battle strategies on the fly. This kid literally forgets important information, constantly rushes into deadly situations without thinking, and gets tricked by the simplest deceptions. The same thing happens with Ash Ketchum, who might be the perfect example of how this trope evolved over time. During the Diamond and Pearl series, he became a battle genius, but couldn't figure out basic life skills. And just when you thought he was growing up in the XY series, they dumbed him down again in Sun and Moon. But the king of all idiot heroes has to be Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, because Luffy is actually secretly smart when it comes to combat physics and even politics. But he'll still do the most ridiculously stupid things that no person with common sense would ever attempt. And this contradiction is exactly what makes the idiot hero so powerful as a storytelling device. Because deep down we all know, these heroes aren't actually idiots, they're just pure-hearted in a way that makes everyone around them better. But our next character trope isn't really liked by anyone. The friend nobody likes is honestly one of the most realistic parts of any anime, because we all have that one friend in our group who's completely insufferable, but somehow still gets invited to everything. This trope is when a character is straight up mean, obnoxious, or just plain weird, but still hangs around with the main cast for some reason. And the craziest part is, the other characters are fully aware of how awful this person is, but they keep them around anyway. Bakugo from My Hero Academia is literally the perfect example of this trope. This guy has the worst temper you've ever seen. He can't remember anyone's name, and basically has zero social skills. He's so bad that almost the entire cast can't stand being around him except for a few. Another perfect example is Meowth from Pokemon, who started out as the most annoying member of Team Rocket. This cat literally called himself Top Cat, even though Jesse and James were constantly annoyed by him. They even considered replacing him multiple times, and none of their Pokemon would listen to anything he said. And this is why this trope is so powerful, because it actually reflects how real friendships work. Because, let's be honest, we may have been that friend nobody likes at some point. Another relatable trope is the big brother. This is one of those tropes that hits different, because it taps into something incredibly primal in all of us. When a character shows this protective big sibling energy towards someone smaller or younger, it instantly makes us root for them. And what's fascinating is this instinct doesn't just apply to actual siblings, it can be any character taking on that protective role. Pikachu from Pokemon is constantly showing the same protective instinct toward all the newer Pokemon on Ash's team. But not all examples of this trope turn out well, because sometimes the protective instinct goes too far. Itachi from Naruto wanted to make his little brother Sasuke strong enough to survive in a dangerous world. But his methods were so messed up and traumatizing that he ended up pushing him down a dark path of revenge. And that's what makes this trope so compelling, because it shows how even the purest intentions can lead to disaster, which this next trope knows all too well about. A father to his men. A trope which creates some of the most memorable characters. This is because they tap into our deep desire for strong but caring leadership. And the most shocking part is how rare this type of leadership is in anime, which makes these characters stand out even more. Just look at Piccolo from Dragon Ball, who completely breaks the villain mold. This guy is literally the only villain in the entire Dragon Ball series who actually cares about his underlings. The father to his men trope might seem simple, but it creates some of the deepest connections between characters, because it shows that even in the most violent and chaotic worlds of anime, there's still room for genuine care. But our next anime trope takes character relationships in a completely different direction. Manipulative bastards are characters that are truly next-level villains, because they never force anyone to do anything, but somehow get everyone dancing to their tune. And the scariest part? They rarely feel anything while they're pulling your psychological strings. Just look at Griffith from Berserk, who might be the ultimate example of this trope in action. This man emotionally manipulated literally everyone around him, holding a little girl hostage to stop an assassination plot. And Light from Death Note shows just how dangerous this character type can be, because Light kept the entire task force believing his innocence for years. And not just believing his innocence, but actually accepting him as their leader while he was secretly killing people the whole time. But Muzan from Demon Slayer takes this manipulation to another level. I mean, this guy can literally change his appearance. He can go from being the perfect gentle husband to a female-friendly hostess, all while being the absolute cruel demon king who rules with fear and violence behind the scenes. But what's most disturbing is how often these characters completely get away with everything they've done. But our next anime trope might be even more frustrating than the manipulative bastard. The pervert trope is a tricky one to get right. Done right, it's lighthearted, goofy, and even endearing. Done wrong, it's straight up uncomfortable. Brock from Pokemon is the best case scenario. He falls in love at first sight, flirts shamelessly, and gets yanked away before things go too far. It's predictable, it's harmless, and it rarely crosses the line. But then there's Minoru Mineta from My Hero Academia. His perversion isn't just a running gag, it's his entire personality. And instead of being funny, it's just creepy. Fans hated how he constantly made female characters uncomfortable, turning every interaction into an awkward, forced joke. That's the fine line with this trope. Push it too far, and instead of laughs, you get backlash. What Mineta could have been is a pint-sized powerhouse. Normally, a fight between a small fighter and a towering brute seems like an easy win for the latter. But in this case, tiny warriors don't just hold their own, they dominate. Levi Ackerman is only 5'3", but takes down titans like it's a casual workout. And Izuku Midoriya may not be the tallest in his class, but he's packing one for all, one of the most broken abilities in My Hero Academia. But a lack of height isn't the only way to get the audience to root for you, because the badass normal holds their own in a world where everyone else has insane advantages. While others rely on magic or supernatural abilities, these guys get by with pure skill, strategy, and willpower. But that's exactly what makes them stand out. Because when a normal human keeps up with monsters, gods, or superheroes, it says something. Characters in Cowboy Bebop prove you don't need enhancements to survive in a dangerous world. Even Usopp in One Piece, who might not possess a devil fruit, but his intelligence, marksmanship, and insane durability make up for it. The exact opposite to this trope is the ace. Because the ace isn't just skilled, they're the best at what they do. Whether it's combat, strategy, or any serious field, they dominate without question. But their reputation isn't just built on skill, it's built on awe. Because people don't just admire them, they mythologize them. But few aces reach the level of Goku, because he doesn't just master techniques, he learns them at a glance. So while others train for years, he picks up moves in an instant and counters them just as fast. But even then, he never stops pushing his limits. But sometimes the ace is not the main protagonist. In Pokemon, it's Gary, not Ash. And in MHA, it's All Might. But wait, there's a bunch of tropes we haven't covered in this video. Check the next one out, and I'll see you next time.